to Girl Fight Talk. I'm your host, as always, Kalah Haley. We're excited to have another show. Man, it's been a busy week between holiday parties and more holiday parties and white elephant gift exchange parties. Those are hilarious. So, two things. So, I am officially, transitioned out of my other job, which was, if any of you are new and you don't know, I worked as a youth minister for my church, which was tons of fun. Like, probably entertained more than any of you guys are ever entertained at your own personal jobs. These kids are hilarious. But we had our last little end of the year, well, before New Year's, but we had like our Christmas party, and we went up to this one of the kids' families' homes for the party, and we did this one activity where first of all, we had like tons of food, which was, that's always, you can't have a party without tons of food. The host of the party, the mom, Teresa, she had this like Christmas tree, which was she had like a cone, like a styrofoam cone on the inside, had like lettuce leaves that represent like, the tree. And then we'd put like these different like snack food items pinned into the styrofoam with like toothpicks, like candy cane shaped bell peppers, like little sausages and cheese and all the good stuff. I'm like, dang, Teresa, if you were on Pinterest, I'd follow you. So yeah, we had like tons of awesome food. And then the cool thing is we had this game where I went to the store and I bought like all of these dollar store type items. So, random stuff, like the stuff that you end up throwing away. But it was fun. Like little yo-yos, those little, that like glue looking stuff that you blow with a little straw and it blows up into like a balloon.
Isn't that a drug?
No, I didn't buy drugs for the teenagers.
Oh, okay.
But they're like these little balloon type things. Like it's like liquid balloon. I don't know.
Yeah, those are like popular in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Give them a little bit of a cultural experience. So yeah, we did that. There were those. There were like little race cars. I know they're not $5, but it was a dollar store, and that's all they had. And then of course like some candy type stuff. And so one of the dads, and then I bought like 2 big rolls of cling wrap, or what is it called? You know what I'm talking about.
Just plastic wrap?
Plastic wrap, yeah.
Saran wrap?
Saran wrap. There we go, saran wrap. And so what you do is you like wrap it into like this big ball of just gifts or, stuff. And so we had like a big circle of probably around 20 kids. And we're like going in a circle, and you have like this platform or like a serving tray. We just use like, like you don't want to get your, you have it put on your like ottoman or something like that. And we'd like have a pair of dice and roll them, and you'd have to roll it until you get doubles. And so once you get doubles, everyone shouts doubles, and then you have to pass the ball around. And so the goal is for yourself to personally unwrap it as fast as you can to get the next gift. And so there's like layers and layers and layers of gifts. And it was hilarious. These kids were going at it. I mean, like, little attitudes I saw, I was like, ooh, you better check yourself. But, I mean, it was so much fun, and the kids had a blast. And so we did that game, which was tons of fun. You should do that if you guys are having a party this weekend. I think that's a good idea. And put like for adults, you could put like some fun stuff in there, like some nice gift cards or, little bottles of like Fireball. Who knows? I don't know. Just throwing out ideas. And so then we did the white elephant gift exchange. And so you know the rules, right? You are assigned a number, and everyone, you have to bring a gift in order to participate. So you put your gifts under like a little tree or however you do it. And the first person goes, and they have to pick a gift from under the tree, right? Because no one has a gift for them to steal. And so you go, get your gift. Either you love it or you hate it. And you're like, dang it, can't believe I got this pair of tweezers. No one gave tweezers, but you get the idea. And so finally, I'm like upstairs talking to one of the moms, and we're just talking about like my whole time, helping with the teen ministry. And I go downstairs, and it's my turn. And I bring good stuff personally, right? Like it was like a $5 maximum, which I'm like, there's not much you can get with. They're all gonna be gag gifts with a $5 maximum. So I bring in some like homemade treats. Someone else gave them to me. I'll be honest. I definitely regifted that. And then like a $5 Starbucks card. Every teenager's gonna love Starbucks. So I put my little gift out there, and so finally it's my turn, and I like, that like the smaller gifts are usually the better ones, but it's just like my natural instinct to go for the biggest gift. So it's my turn. I go get a gift, and what is it? What do you think it was, Josh? It was like this big.
It was definitely a puppy.
Yep, they
Puppy
put
in-
a
puppy in a box.
puppy in a box, and there were no holes in that box, so totally could breathe.
So it was a dead puppy.
No, it was a family-sized box of Frosted Flakes. Which, to be honest, that's like a legit gift.
Yeah, that can like make you. I mean, that'll keep you alive for a week.
I mean, and so it's funny because all the teenage boys are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you got a family-sized thing of Frosted Flakes," and so everyone wants to steal my gift. And there's some other cool gifts out there. There's like this old antique like lantern type thing, which I thought was really cool. There was like one of those. We have a lot of like people who are outdoors enthusiasts, so hunters, backpackers and all that kind of stuff. One of those like multi-use spork fork can opener shotgun all in one little device. And then of course lots of bags of candy and all the stuff that'll give you a heart attack and spike your blood sugar. So finally someone steals my gift. One of the boys, they're like, "I'm taking it." I'm like, "Go for it, you can have it. I don't even eat frosted flakes." So they take it from me. It's my turn to steal. And I go ahead and take, and I felt so bad, but not really. This one kid, he had this gift card for iTunes. It's $15. That's 3 times the maximum. So I was like, I'm going to just take that off your hands. And it was the second time that it got stolen, so it was mine. Is that bad that I stole the gift card off the teenager?
No, you're older, so you can do what you want.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like, oh, here's something to remember me by. Swipe or no swiping. Oh, man. So, yeah, took his gift card. Didn't feel too bad about it. Actually felt quite excited, especially since I got this Mac. So, yeah, holiday parties. So fun. Don't get too, like, overweight. Because it's hard at the beginning of the year. It's cold. You want to stay inside. You want to just, like, snuggle up. Try to have some discipline. But yeah, that was the weekend. Josh, how was your weekend? They canceled your guys' party.
Yeah, we got our party canceled, so I saw Rogue One.
How'd you like it?
I really loved it.
You did?
Yeah.
I saw it too. I didn't talk about it just because I didn't want to spoil it for you. So, how good of a friend am I?
Pretty good friend. Rogue One was better than the last Star Wars movie.
You think so?
Yeah.
Better than Episode 7?
Right.
Why'd you say that? Why do you say that?
It was just a better plot, even though it was almost the same plot.
It was almost the exact same plot.
Yeah, but they just did it better.
Okay. What was the name of the character, the Asian guy?
Oh, the blind guy.
Yeah.
Blind guy.
He was Asian, too.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was so cool. He was my favorite.
Yeah, I like how they just they kept it light. The movie was very light and filled with a lot of jokes, dialogue, dry humor, which I love.
Yeah, the new bot. What was his name? I'm so terrible. I don't know any other.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but that was.
He was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a classic Star Wars move. Throw a robot who tells jokes and stuff.
Yeah, and then this one who could speak. He was kind of like a hybrid of like a R2D2 and a Jar Jar Binks.
Which we saw R2D2 and C3PO in Rogue One.
Yes, yes. It was pretty amazing. And you see, I mean, okay, spoiler alert, too late. Sorry.
Everybody dies.
True. They do. It's so sad. And then you have like this Jen Erso character who her dad is basically the one who creates the bug within the Death Star, which allows for, as you see in episode 4, when Princess Leia, they go to destroy the Death Star. So that's how the Death Star was even destroyed, is because there was a bug engineered into it. And her dad basically dedicated his life and his work to making sure that it could be destroyed. And that's why he made sure he was like the lead engineer on that thing.
Yeah, and unless you're like a comic fan, you don't really know that. So it's a good way to introduce that into the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My dad's he is a total sci-fi Comic-Con type dude. Like literally on Saturday, he and his friends from high school. So like they're like 50 now. So like for like since middle school actually. 30 something years, 35, maybe even 40 years they've been playing these like Dungeon and Dragon type games, but they're like more advanced than that because they like make the game up themselves. So they're like down in our basement like playing on their laptops, and they have like a map. I call it the war room. They have like a map with like one of those little dangling lights. It literally looks like they're like strategizing like how they're gonna like defeat Russia. But yeah, they've been doing that for like 30 plus years in our basement every other weekend.
Maybe they are actually doing something.
I mean, maybe. If they're tapping into our internet, into our Wi-Fi, then they're definitely like learning a few things. The CIA for sure. But yeah, no, like they always go out to watch like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Matrix, Star Wars, Star Trek. My dad's a big Babylon 5 kind of guy. Own the whole like series like on DVD or whatever. But yeah, so fun times, good movie. Yeah, when he died, I was like about to cry. The blind dude. I am the force is with me, right?
Yeah, it was sad. But it had to happen.
Did it?
Definitely.
Why?
Because movies today are too fantasy. You need to have some realism in your fantasy world. Which is why Han Solo should have died in 7, which he did. And the blind guy dies in Rogue, which is great.
But I really would have liked his... I mean, but the other thing is that these other stories they've already been told. So it's like, he doesn't fit in anywhere else. That's why everyone had to die. Except for Leia, who obviously starts off episode 4. So, good stuff. Star Wars, I mean Disney. First of all, Disney is killing it. Between Star Wars, buying Lucasfilms, and then Marvel, the rights to Marvel, I mean, they are killing it. So, Doctor Strange was decent. They're coming out with Thor number 3, I think, next year. They've got, I think, a Spider-Man movie coming out with the new Spider-Man, the 14-year-old Peter Parker. So, very excited for the year of movies to come up. And, yeah. So, this morning I was on my way. I told you how I was telling Josh how I, like, stepped in this puddle of, like, ice water. So, it's finally snowing in Colorado. It was, like, 70 degrees for the longest time. The hottest winter I've ever experienced in Denver. But yeah, so basically it snowed. My car is terrible. Actually, the Acura I told you guys about, how I like always would overheat, it's done. I'm not putting any more money into that. But using my mom's car, her car is not the greatest either. But she let me use it, which is very nice of her. Thank you, Mom. And so I'm driving it here to the studio, and it's like swerving all over the place. You cannot drive in Colorado unless you're like a G, because most people will freak out and like start turning their steering wheel all over the place, which is how you spin out of control. But if you allow your steering wheel to just return back to the center and let your wheels go straight, then you don't swerve all over the place. So a little tip. But yeah, I like totally misjudged this puddle. I thought it was like really shallow, and I stepped with full confidence right into it. And now my socks are wet. So I'm doing this podcast without shoes on so my feet can dry. But yeah, cool. That's life. You guys will have to share with us what's going on with you. No interview today, which I'm kind of not bummed out about, honestly. Especially when, like, you know, no hate on anybody, but at the same time, like, if I set up an interview with you, expect for it to happen, because that's kind of like the professional thing to do. So, like, yeah, when I give you, you know, either you give me a call or I give you a call, expect for it to happen. And especially, like, at the end of the day, these are for you guys. Like, I'm interviewing you to highlight you, to feature you. It's all about you. I set up this stuff so I can talk about how great you are, or, you know, ask hard questions. Either way. But so yeah, future note, if we set something up, follow through. Otherwise, it's not cool to do that. But yeah, UFC Sacramento was this weekend. As you guys know, it was live and free on FS1 and then on Fox. Amazing card. First of all, okay. It's amazing how people, I don't know. People just need to stop giving so much credit to the mainstream. Like, stop talking about how, oh, mainstream people, they don't think this is a great card. Okay, well, they don't know anything, so stop, like, letting their opinions matter so much. Okay? And honestly, most of these mainstream shows, like on FS1, what is it? Undisputed, and then you've got ESPN First Take with Stephen A, and then on Undisputed with Skip Bayless. A lot of these guys, especially Shannon Sharp. Okay, Shannon, love you, dude. But he's like, it's so clear that he's taking his talking points from MMAfighting.com. Like, literally, almost verbatim, is going on to, like, MMAfighting.com's website, or listening to their podcast, or going to, or even just getting, like, going to other sources, not even citing the sources in which he's getting his talking points from, which I guess, I don't know, whatever. At the end of the day, you do what you do. But it's clear that you don't know what is going on in the sport. It's clear you're not even a fan of the sport. Because if you were, you would have been talking about it without your producers telling you to have to talk about it a long time ago. So it's clear you guys are just now talking about it because of Floyd and because of everything that's going to go on, hopefully, with that in 2017. But it's annoying when people keep giving so much credit to the mainstream media. People know where to go. Like, let's be honest. If someone really wants to know what's going on with MMA, they're going to find out where to go. Between, again, MMAfighting.com, even the Mac Life has a lot of good stuff that they're doing. ESPN with Brett Okamoto. The Fight Network up in Canada. You know, all these different shows. MMA Junkie. Tons of different places. This show, right? We're new, but we know what's going on, and we try to give you a fresh perspective on everything. Yeah, Ariel Helwani, Luke Thomas, all these different guys. They are the beat of this sport, and that's where everybody gets their sources from anyway. So if you're gonna, like, talk about and cry a lot about, oh, you know, mainstream media, they're not giving enough credit to this fight. Well, why would they? They don't know the sport. So stop having these expectations of them to like be knowledgeable about the sport, and then underperform when it comes to their analysis or even their acknowledgement of an event happening when they aren't even fans. So you can't, just don't get upset about that kind of stuff. What was I gonna say? So yeah, UFC Sacramento, amazing card, headlined by Paige VanZant versus Michelle Waterson. We'll get to that as we move forward. I want to start off with Leslie Smith. Leslie Smith had an amazing fight. She won the first round, got a knockdown, lost the second round. Basically had her opponent, whose name I need to look up quickly. Basically, had a strong striking. She had some strong striking in the second round. Her timing was amazing. Let's see, real quick. Irene Aldana. That was what I was gonna say. Yeah. So Irene had some great striking in the second round. She has, honestly, I don't see a lot of women fighters who know how to utilize a jab. So when they can put on a jab and set it up and time it and measure the distance well enough to where they can with either a straight right or a hook or an overhand. No one throws uppercuts. But when she was doing that, I was impressed. I was like, whoa, homie, you know how to strike. You know how to use your hands. And it's not just, it's like you have to do these measurements, these calculations in your brain real time, because everything, the equation is changing real time, right? It's not like your opponent is in a certain stance or position or through a certain combination very slowly or is maintaining that position for a long period of time. So it's not like you can take seconds. It's all milliseconds, and it's constantly changing. And so for someone to have the brain capacity and the muscle memory to be able to react and respond to live inputs for them, and is able to execute outputs at the right time, that's something special. And I think that Irene Aldana, I think that she, in the third round, I don't know if she just got tired. I don't know if she lost. I mean, honestly, Leslie wasn't doing anything much different. I think she turned up the pace a bit in the third round. And I think Leslie actually found her rhythm a lot better in the third round compared to the second. And so, I think that Irene definitely was on track to winning, especially after the second round, but then just kind of lost and fell off in the third. And so congratulations to Leslie Smith. We've had her on the show. She's a great fighter. I think that, again, this goes to debunk all of those comments that were made on the show previously from, other people about Leslie being, having more notoriety because of her affiliation with the PFA, the Professional Fighters Association, rather than the merits that she has earned inside of the ring or inside of the octagon. So, kudos to you, Leslie Smith. Not only did she win, she also won a Fight of the Night award. I think she got, I looked at her pay. She's got like 25 and 25 for her win bonus. Got an extra 50,000 for Fight of the Night. And then, of course, those terrible Reebok payouts. So yeah, congrats to Leslie Smith. Like I said, she basically got a Fight of the Night bonus as well as her regular show and win money. And yeah, I think that that's great. Congratulations to Leslie. I look forward to seeing where you go from here. The next fight that I was really impressed with, I wanted to talk about the, kind of going out of order a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the Sage fight, just because this is how I think the order of the fight should have gone. Sage should not have been above Uriah Faber. Okay, 1 second. So Sage and Mickey Gall. I First of all, I don't really. Okay, the fight was fine. This is one of those fights that was brought to us because of mainstream. I don't even know what that means, but mainstream media, like the drama. The fight was fine, but the placement on the card was terrible. So disrespectful to Uriah Faber and uh, Brad Pickett. Okay, so we'll move past that. I don't want to harp on that too much. Um, so Sage Northcutt um, versus Mickey Gall. Sage Northcutt has been hyped up way more than what he deserves. Um, Again, he's getting fights because he's walking around shirtless, crushing fruit, all over his body, which to some that may be um, appealing, but for an audience that is 90 something percent male audience, you know, maybe the UFC is using him to bring in a women's audience. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll see Ring Boys soon as well. But his merit in his fighting, he blitzes fighters, he hits them hard, maybe. Yeah, I mean, sure, he hits hard. But it's not accurate. When he does his flurries, it's not like he's actually hitting people on the chin most of the time. It's usually just, it's kind of like throw, 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 throw. Hopefully something hit you. So it's not an economy of motion at all. And of course, Mickey Gall talks about how throughout the fight, Sage talks some crap and is like, oh, I like how that cut looked on your face. And, get up, Mickey, It's fine, sure, whatever. All right, the fight happens. I'm just not impressed. And then, these younger fighters who, the reason why, okay, let me put this way. The reason why Conor is as successful as he's been is because he likes to stand up and he likes to strike with people, but his ground game is strong enough that he's able to keep the fight standing. That is not how I would characterize Sage, and that is not how I would characterize Paige. They're young, they're great, they've got a lot ahead of them. But I think that there might be this misconception of wanting to keep the fight standing and what it takes in order to keep the fight standing. Right? And maybe them even maybe thinking that their opponents, in order to get a knockout of the night or to get a submission, or sorry, not a submission, but to get like a fight of the night, the fight requires a stand-up nature. And so maybe in their minds they're thinking, well, they're going to want to stand with me too. No, your opponent wants to win at the end of the day. Those bonuses are so arbitrary that you don't even know if you're going to get one or not, right? And so if you don't even know if you're going to get one or not, the most secure way in order for you to get the most pay that night is for you to win. That's everyone's main objective. Plus, when you win, that leads to bigger fights. So I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating maybe on their mindset towards their approach, even with their training. Because when Paige said, and we'll go to Paige. I guess we'll go to Paige really quickly. When Paige said that, I guess I need to work on my jiu-jitsu. I didn't really work on my... What? I didn't really work on my jiu-jitsu this fight? What do you mean? This isn't boxing. This isn't kickboxing. If you want to go kickbox, go to Glory. Okay? Like, this isn't kickboxing. I'm getting tired of people not paying respect to the art of mixed martial arts. It is still a martial art. And if you don't respect it, it's going to chew you up. And I hope that a lot of these younger fighters coming up, or even the vets like a Michelle Waterson, I hope that they keep exposing how terrible these younger fighters' jiu-jitsu is, because they don't like it's almost like they just don't like it. And I understand on to the extent that it's maybe not as exciting, or maybe that your personal brand or your audience doesn't understand jiu-jitsu. But as a fighter, you have to be you have to be well-rounded, otherwise you will get exposed, as Sage has been exposed twice. And so in that fight, when Mickey finally gets him down and he puts him on his back and he takes his back and sinks in, the first thing he did, Mickey, when he took him down and got his back, is he secured the body triangle on the right side. Was it the right side? I think it was. No, it was the left side, I think. Because I was telling him to... I'm trying to think of how the screen was when I was watching this. No, it was... I don't know. Whatever side it was. It was like Sage knew nothing about how to get out of that. Or how to defend that. Right? The first thing you do when you're when your opponent secures in a body triangle, you put pressure on that side that the lock is on, right? He never turned his body over to the side where the body lock was on, the body triangle. He never tried to put pressure on his foot. That was the first thing he should have done. Before he even had the triangle, the guillotine choke sunken in. First of all, it wasn't even sunken in. It was on top of his chin. And then finally, so after Mickey gets secures the body triangle, then he goes after the guillotine choke and he tries to slide his arm through. It literally looked like Sage had just given up. It's like he was on his he had, Mickey had back control. Sage was sitting there. He didn't know what to do. He let him get the body triangle, and then it was just like probably. I'm just like, I don't even have a belt in jiu-jitsu. And I know that that's not what you do, or that's what you're supposed to do. So he didn't really fight the arms when Mickey got he sunk in the choke. He didn't push up on the elbow. It wasn't until the choke was sunken in that he pushed up on the elbow. And even when he did start to push up on the elbow, it was like he just kind of gave up. So I'm done with Sage for now, until he decides he wants to really take his training seriously and go to the next level. And he said he's, dropped out of school, or taking a break. I don't know what the exact terminology is, but he's taking a step back from school in order to focus on his professional fighting career. Okay, great. You know what? You stop being a student of engineering, I think he's like a petroleum engineer, in Texas. You need to start becoming a student of jiu-jitsu and of the ground game, and watch film and just practice and practice and practice on the mat, because I don't know if he has a belt in jiu-jitsu, but it doesn't. And it wasn't even like he got rocked, right? It wasn't one of those where it was like not real jiu-jitsu where you really earned that position when that person was in their right senses. It was, a lot of that happens in the UFC where people get rocked and then you try to submit them. It's like, okay, well, it's kind of sort of jiu-jitsu, except he was dazed. But yeah, he was in his full senses. So yeah, that was the fight. Mickey Gall calls out Dan Hardy, which is weird, and I'm like, okay, is Dan Hardy coming back? And if he is, I hope he. I don't know. I think Mickey is an interesting character in that he is trying to be a lot like a Conor McGregor in calling his shot, in recognizing that the UFC likes when people call their shot. But I would like, and what my biggest takeaway from this from this card is that these younger fighters need to just build up some experience. Like when Conor came in with a lot of fights, right? As well as was a champion within his previous organizations, a 2-weight world champion, right? And even still, when he came in, he fought the Brandows, he fought the Seavers, he fought a lot of these kind of lower level guys, right? But who were also veterans of the sport. A lot of these younger guys are Mickey Gall has fought CM Punk, who that was just a give me. That was kind of, in a lot of ways, that was kind of like a Randy Couture James Toney kind of fight, which we all knew it was how it was going to go. And then he fought Sage. And then he fought that Mike Jackson guy before too, the first fight in the UFC. So, I mean, so far he's winning. Hey, you got to give people credit where credit is due. But I think when you're starting to call out the big guns, sure, take the fight. If the UFC is willing to give you that fight, hey, all to you, Mickey Gall. But I think from what I've seen, it's not going to go as expected. So I think that these fighters definitely need to manage their careers in a good way, but I think they also need to be wise in making sure that they win the fights that they're setting up for themselves. And then we'll go ahead and move on to Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber looked the best I've seen him look in years. I was so happy. I was so happy to see him go out on top. I was so happy to see him fight Brad Pickett. Brad Pickett gave him a run for his money. Even at the in the third round, he knocked him down. He knocked Uriah down, and it wasn't a slip. It was a legit knockdown. But Uriah looked the best striking wise, because I think for a long time I felt like Dominic always exposed kind of how maybe stagnant Uriah had been in his style for a while. Throwing punches in bunches, not really throwing the best of combinations, not really throwing your punches properly. Your footwork wasn't that great. Just getting caught being behind a lot. And I think that this was a better style for Uriah as well in Brad Pickett. So I think, but even all of that included, I think that Uriah looked the best he'd looked in a long time. So I was really happy for Uriah to have won that fight. And then Brad Pickett, of course, he did a great job, and he's older as well, and so he was kind of just like the sacrificial lamb for Uriah, which that happens, and I think that Brad was like, I don't necessarily mind that. I'm getting paid, so. And then last but not least on the card, we had Paige VanZant versus Michelle Waterson, and a lot of the same criticisms that I have for Sage, I have to give to Paige, unfortunately, because the UFC is star hungry. They are looking to build up their next Conor McGregors and their next Ronda Rouseys. They know that these folks are, probably not going to be in the industry forever, especially Ronda. And knowing that, they know they need to start investing in their next generation of stars. The only thing is that they haven't identified the best people. I think that when you identify the best stars, you need to figure out who's the best fighters, first and foremost. Because at the end of the day, you can, not everyone's going to have a Conor McGregor personality, but what people loved about Anderson Silva is that he won. The thing people loved about George St. Pierre is that he won. The thing people loved about Chael Sonnen, sort of, kinda, he was a talker, he was entertaining, but more or less he won most of, his fights. He got to the big dance. He won the fights that got him to the big dance. Did he win the big dance all the time? No. But he was able to, at least through merit, get to the big dance. And so that's not exactly what I'm seeing with Paige and Sage. Through Paige's fight, her ground game, and those comments about just not, and I would love to get clarification. Did she just not practice her jiu-jitsu? Because if that's the case, then you definitely didn't deserve to win the fight. That's just a lack. That to me is in the same category as missing weight. I mean, you're asking for it. And then when Michelle Waterson talked about how even in the stand-up arena, when she switched stances on her, and Paige didn't really know what was going on and how to fight Michelle, with her fighting. I was gonna say Goofy, but that's snowboarding. Um, Southpaw. There we go. Um, again, she's a younger fighter. She's younger when it comes to the sport of MMA. But you know, this again, if the UFC is trying to build up these fighters, you've got to give them fights that they can win. And I think that this was a test that kind of honestly just showed where, and especially in a lot of these different weight classes with the women, the straw weights, these are divisions that haven't had a lot of attention for very long. And so when you think that a fighter is at a certain point or at a certain caliber, when other fighters enter the equation, even like a lot of these Polish fighters who just came on the scene, they are showing you guys that stand up in here in the States suck. Like, you really don't know how to fight standing up. And we're going to show you, and we're going to knock you out and show you why. I mean, you look at it that Paige VanZant fought Rose Namajunas, and then Rose fought the Polish fighter. I can't think of her name, but the one who just fought it was Karolina Kowalkiewicz, I think was her name. And then she fought goodness gracious, what's her name? Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And so those two threw down, and those two were very, I think in a lot of ways, evenly matched. And I think that they displayed a whole nother level of striking that we don't even see within a lot of the women's fights. Honestly, the first time that we really saw someone know how to really strike in the UFC was when Holly Holm fought Ronda Rousey. Everyone else until that point, they all, and even Ronda, when she had those knockouts of those other girls, sure, like she has learned like some timing. She has learned some of those other things, but a lot of these girls just brawl. There really is not a lot of technical aspects to their striking. Distance management is a big part of that. And footwork is a huge part of that. And using a jab is a huge part of that. And a lot of them just don't know how to do that. And so when Ronda was knocking a couple girls out with the Betch Correia when she knocked her out, and then the other one, I forget who it was, but she did the liver shot. It had the appearance that Ronda's striking was now becoming superior to everybody else's because no one else had a pedigree in striking. And so that's why when Holly Holm knocked her out, and that fight happened, it made it awoke everyone to realize, oh my gosh, there's actually an entirely different tier or level of striking that these women can do, and we weren't even aware of it. And that's what those Polish fighters are doing. So, again, going back to Paige and Michelle Waterson. Michelle Waterson is from that same pedigree. I mean, she was on, I don't know, do you guys remember that show Fight Girls? It was on Oxygen. I'm pretty sure it was on Oxygen. And it had Gina Carano on it. I think it had Master Todi, her initial coach, trainer from Las Vegas. He took a bunch of those fighters, those girls, out to Thailand to train Muay Thai and compete with the other Muay Thai fighters. And there's a competition kind of thing. I remember watching that when I was 14. But that's the old school. I mean, you think about it. That's who Michelle Waterson was with. She was with Gina Carano. She's not, for all these new people, they don't understand that Michelle Waterson has been around the block. The karate hottie has been around the block. She knows what she's doing. I think she could be the champ. I honestly do. She's small. That was the only thing that I had about Paige versus Michelle. I thought that Paige would know how to use her size and her reach on Michelle to get the advantage, but that was clearly not the case. So, who knows what's going to happen in 2017. I'm excited to see all these women highlighting these cards. One of my fans on Twitter was just like, "Thank you so much for covering the fact that the UFC is using these women to headline all these events." And I mean, isn't it interesting, right? To have a strawweight, to have the bantamweight, to have the now featherweight divisions in women's MMA. So I am excited to see how the 145-pound division gets filled out. I do think that they should eventually put in the 125 division. I think it would make sense to do it even like later on this year, later on next year in 2017, because there are so many fighters who are in that, who swing between both weight classes, who are too small for 135 but who are way too big for 125. But the thing that you need for each division is a star, because if the UFC is going to invest in putting you as a champion on a pay-per-view, you have to be worth their while. And that's why I believe the UFC did 145 before they did 125. Because eventually, when Cyborg gets her stuff together, she will be a huge draw. And then that will also help with the storyline between Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, and Cyborg, in whoever gets matched up together first. But it'll help that storyline a lot. So those are my thoughts on UFC Sacramento. What do we have going on? Next Wednesday, we're going to be heading out to UFC 207 in Las Vegas. Very excited to have, like I mentioned before, very excited. We're gonna have a lot of content for you guys. We just had a meeting at my house on Saturday morning. Everybody braved the snow and made it over, and we cooked breakfast for everybody. But yeah, we're excited. Girl Fight Talk, our team is ready to go, especially to meet up with Bullied Not Broken, but with Claire and her dad, and we have a lot of stuff to share with you guys. We're excited to talk about Claire's story and really inspire you guys with what a 14-year-old can do just with facing the everyday issues with being a kid in this new age of technology, and having a social disorder, and just the challenges that go with that. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think. We're making t-shirts. Oh, another podcast that makes t-shirts. Wow, how original. I know. Don't hate me. But yeah, we're going to be making t-shirts. Actually, I'm going to run to the shop right after we do the show to go finalize some designs and figure out what we're going to do. We're going to make a couple extra. And so the thing is, if we want to give a couple to some fans, just to show our thanks to you guys for being such great supporters of the show. So if you guys are interested in a resilience t-shirt, that's the theme of us going out there, definitely subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, but definitely subscribe on YouTube. That's the main one. And we'll be picking from our subscribers on YouTube to see who's going to win a t-shirt. We're going to probably have about 5 different t-shirts that we'll send out. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Again, so much fun. We're going to have a blast starting next week. Keep tuned, stay tuned, and follow us on Twitter at Girl Fight Talk to keep up with everything that's going on and with all of the new episodes that are coming on. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week at the fights in Las Vegas. Peace out.